Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, Lord of the Rings or something. Like, they've created this whole universe. It's ridiculous, walk through it.
Speaking of which, whatever happened to Peter Jackson in the Halo movie?
It's still on. They still say it's on. He's working on The Hobbit right now.
He would be.
Which I gotta say, I'm kind of excited for too. But yeah, it's nice just to walk around the universe. ODST was a refreshment on it, although I didn't really finish the campaign. Can't say I did. I missed the Master Chief so much at that point. I was just like, oh, this ain't even worth it. Because the guy you were didn't even talk. Master Chief's all witty, smart ass.
Yeah.
Action star.
Hopefully, Halo 4 keeps up the good storyline. Like, hopefully, because Bungie's not on board anymore, they don't kind of let that go by the wayside.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping when they were kind of leaning towards multiplayer on that as well. I've heard some people talking, or not heard, but seen some people talking.
Hey, come drop me off on that top of the tower.
That looks like what they're going to try to focus on as well. Even though Reach was a good multiplayer game.
Alright, I'm off.
There are some bugs to it I'm sure people are complaining about.
Yeah, so anyways, we talked about it briefly, but going back to the ranking system for Halo CE, because you and I were talking recently about, Reach has been out for a while, and you were kind of losing the motivation for it because it lacks that traditional ranking system that people have grown accustomed to and to expect with Halo 2 and Halo 3. Your traditional number right there beside your name to let you know how you're doing in comparison to your peers.
The other players.
Yeah. You still got the badge, but that's just a meaningless experience rating. It has nothing to do with skill. And you miss that skill ranking whatsoever. And there's the arena, but even on that, you don't really get a number ranking. You just get a division, and it still feels kind of meaningless. Plus the whole thing about arena being completely broken because nobody plays it. It's one of the smallest playlists.
Even if you were to get in the division, I gotta say I wouldn't feel very accomplished.
Yeah, you're
being the low number of players.
Exactly. You're playing from a small talent pool.
So yeah, I definitely hope they bring back the number ranking.
I think the lack of a number ranking has kind of contributed to Halo's decrease in popularity, to be honest with you. Because, Halo 2 was, gigantic, and Halo 3 was big. But then Reach comes out, and it's kind of like, I don't know, it kind of takes second billing compared to games like Black Ops and stuff like that. You look how many people play Black Ops versus how many people play Halo Reach, and
Black Ops is popular.
It's disappointing to me a little bit, to be honest with you. Makes me sad. I'm crying in my mouth a little bit right now. I miss Halo being like the premier game on Xbox Live, and I'm looking at Reach, and I don't think there's a lot of sheep on the internet that just repeat whatever the popular line is, and that seems to have over time grown to be that Reach is not a good game. Somehow people have come to that conclusion, and I'm not saying that people aren't entitled to their own opinion or whatever, but I don't see it. Frankly, I don't. I don't see how Reach is vastly that different in a way to make it less of a game than, say, Halo 3. And you can tell me your thoughts on it, and then I'll tell you about why I think it's less popular, and why, in a way, that I do agree with those people a little bit in terms of it being a little bit less so than some of the past Halos.
I, for one, they added stuff and they took away stuff that they added stuff that I enjoy and they took away stuff. Like, a big thing for me is the armory. I know they had it in Halo 3, but it wasn't as detailed. And also being that they added, whatever armor you pick into the campaign, I enjoyed that thoroughly. Yeah, and then taking away stuff like the ranking system, dual wielding, just little stuff like that. It adds up. It's kind of disappointing when I love it. Just have my dual wield before you remember how big I was on that.
Now, I'll tell you what I hear most commonly from the kids on the internet, kids these days on the internets.
Those darn kids.
And the popular sentiment seems to be that Halo Reach is not a skilled game, which I entirely disagree with. And the reason they say it's not skilled is because one of the reasons is Bloom. They're like, oh, Bloom, it's makes randomness in the game. It's so random. But you know what? It's not random. It's only random if you're a little kid without any patience and you sit there and you spam the trigger. But you know what that's like? That's a little bit more like reality. A lot of guns aren't going to give you accurate fire if you just sit there and mash on the trigger. Halo's actually, in my opinion, Halo Reach is introducing more skill in that respect, making it a little bit more realistic, making you have to pace your shots, time your shots. But apparently a lot of people don't like that. They want the VR where they can just mash the trigger and there is no bloom to the reticle.
They need to get a spot then. Or stick to Call of Duty.
Yeah. So yeah, that's one thing. And then some people say, well, Halo's not about being realistic. It's Halo. It's something completely different. And that's fine. If they got rid of the reticle bloom, that would be okay. But I've kind of, come to get used to it, to be honest with you. I kind of like that added wrinkle into the game. It's just an extra thing for you to think about and process. A challenge, a bit of strategy to the game, and that's what I like. That's why I'm not a huge fan of games like Call of Duty, where it's just running around one-shotting people. That's why I don't like that new Forge map, Renova, where it's just a giant clusterfuck. There's, no strategy to it. It's just everybody, bam, right at each other shooting. I like as much strategy. The more the game makes me think, the better, in my opinion. And Bloom is just part of that. But another thing, people... Go ahead.
If I think Call of Duty, is less skilled than Halo, yeah, but I wouldn't say it's totally skillless. I mean, you do have some sort of strategy on there, or you're going to get killed and murdered right away. You know what I'm saying? Because it is so fast paced, and one shot kills you. You got to dive behind stuff. But I do see what you're saying. As far as the Bloom, it's Halo. It's a space game. It's as far as the storyline, no, it's not real. But Bloom, it's real in that case because it brings in physics to the gun. You ain't gonna go up to a soldier. Everybody knows what a 3-second burst is. That's what they're gonna be using. So I mean that is more real than Call of Duty in that sense.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm not saying that, and that's a good point about the physics of it, because, I mean, even if it's an alien world, you still presume that, the laws of physics still apply, unless this is some, mythical world where, physics don't exist, but, or are different to some degree. But anyhow, one thing with, as far as you brought up Call of Duty, I'm not saying that it doesn't require strategy or skill. I know at the competitive level, like at the MLG level, it requires a lot of skill. But and part of this is because how popular it is. But if you get on like a random game, you're going to encounter a bunch of people that aren't trying to play skillful at all, and a lot of the maps are quite small. So you got a lot of people on a small map, and it's just a matter of who sees who first. And who's got a little bit faster twitch. And to me, that takes away from the skill. Now, if you're playing it as a team and you're using strategy and tactics and you're trying to work for map control and get into the most advantageous positions to, get a superior position on the other team so you can get the better one-shots, kind of like SWAT in Halo. Yeah, I can see that, and I'll give you credit for that. But your random free-for-alls, I honestly don't see, the ton of skill there. With Halo, what I like about it is, you got 6 or 5 shots for the kill, depending on if you get that headshot in the last one. And depending on how good you are, someone can get the jump on you. Like with Call of Duty, you come around a corner, someone gets a lucky, just happens to be there, you get the shot on you, you're dead. But in Halo, if you're a better player, the game will show that, because you can spin around, and if you've got a steadier shot and a better aim, you can take somebody down, even if they got the jump on you, and that's what I enjoy about the game.
That's true.
But anyways,
I never really dabbled too much in free for all. First Call of Duty, I played more. As far as that goes, I played more in Halo. It used to be Lone Wolf, and back to the Rumble Pit.
Another thing that people have said that the reason they don't like Reach is the armor abilities, the loadouts, and I can see that a little bit, why people are frustrated. I mean, I'll admit, I get as frustrated as the next guy about armor lock. I would be perfectly okay if armor lock wasn't in the game, to be honest with you. But do I think that it breaks the game? No, not necessarily. There are ways to counter it. And I can see why Bungie put it in the game. To try to counteract power weapons. Power weapons has always been an unbalancing part of Halo, but that's just part of Halo. Somebody gets the rockets, well, that's an unbalanced part, but it's in the game. I mean, you got to work for the rockets as part of map control. But what something like Armor Lock does is it presents a way to try to counter the rockets. Kind of like a paper rock scissors type thing. Do I think they implemented it in the best way? No. I think they overpowered the armor lock, to be honest with you. But other than that one, I think most of the armor locks are fine. Like, I think sprint is great. I think they should have had sprint a long time ago in Halo. I couldn't imagine going back to playing without sprint at this point. You said you were playing Halo 3 recently, and it just felt so slow.
Very sluggish. I agree with you there. Going back without the sprint. Every single loadout, though, I've noticed, it takes a little strategy to use. If you start out, armor locking, you're going to be better at armor locking. And I'm sure sprinting, like, in some cases, aggravates people just as much as armor locking does. And the rocket packs, all that. Even the camouflage, or even the hologram.
The doppelganger.
They have got me a few times with that. So, I mean, there are people that are good with every one.
I'll say that the hologram, just on a side note, probably takes the most skill, like the most savvy to play with, because I'm not patient enough to play with it. But like, if you're good with it, it's pretty funny sometimes, because it can really fool you. But you have to be good with it. I think that one actually requires some finesse. And yeah, I see what you're saying about people being pissed about sprint. I mean, I hear it. They're like, oh, you're getting out of a death where you should have died. But I think it's different than armor lock. I mean, you have to know the map. You're running away, trying to use an escape route, and you're still vulnerable as you run away. And all the guns in Halo travel pretty far, especially, I mean, I've been surprised by how far the assault rifle can carry at range for being what's supposed to be an inaccurate weapon. So unless you're getting around a corner or some cover, or you've got a plan, that sprint's not necessarily going to save you. But it also serves to speed up the game, get from point A to point B quicker, especially in big maps like Big Team Battle. And it just makes it feel like more of a modern game. You've got a lot of fast-paced games out there like Call of Duty, like we were talking about. And I think this just helps Halo feel less dated, because without this sprint, I think it feels a little slow.
Yeah.
But so people say that's. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was thinking, as far as the story, like being that Halo Reach is a prequel, it seems like it would have been, brought up before, as far as the loadout.